Welcome to another edition of Travelcaster. Today we are in Cologne in Germany, about to embark on the next stage of our trip across Northern Europe. And as you can hear, it's already fairly busy and noisy. This is Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there. Well, it's not the worst way to be woken up, isn't it? The sound of church bells. In fact, the bells aren't from the cathedral in front of me, but from another church behind. Ahead of me, on the Dom steps itself, the cathedral, there are the local workers who are pressure washing all of the steps and the surrounding paving slabs, making sure it stays nice and neat for the tourists. And to the left of me is the main station, the Hauptbahnhof, the Cologne station, where we're going to embark on today's journey. All I can say is it's a good job the hotel I stayed in last night had soundproofing. Well, it's 7:10 in the morning and already the station is very busy with morning commuters. Dozens of trains leaving from here to all kinds of destinations. Now, the journey over to Berlin is going to take about 4.5 hours, and according to the Deutsche Bahn app, a ticket on this particular service would normally cost €140, and that's in second class. Thank goodness for the rail pass. So it's about 4.5 hours from Cologne to Berlin, and it's another ICE German train. But today's train was slightly slower than yesterday's. In fact, it was delayed by about half an hour, which means I've missed my connection in Berlin. I have to go from the Hauptbahnhof, the main station, to the Gessenbrunnen station, which is only one stop towards the airport, but I have missed that connection, which means it's going to be a little tight to get this train to connect at Gessenbrunnen and then get on the train to Warsaw. Fingers crossed. Well, it turns out it's pronounced Gesundbrunnen, and here we are at the interchange station in Berlin. Far more civilised than the Hauptbahnhof in terms of size, and track 8, platform 8, is where we're going to be getting the train to Warsaw. How exciting! Now, for me, this is one of the best parts of travelling by train in Europe. The further east you get, the older the train is likely to be, and so it is on this Eurocities service to Warsaw. We've left Berlin now, and the carriages are not open plan. They've actually got compartments. It's all a bit Agatha Christie, with a corridor going down one side of the carriage and these compartments in the other. Now, I don't think that this is a first-class compartment in the truest sense, because there are 6 seats, 3 on each side. A bit crowded it could get. In the first-class ones I've seen before, there's normally 4 seats, 2 on each side, and there are only 2 power sockets between 6 seats as well, which could cause an issue if there are any more visitors along the way. So far there aren't. Now we're going to the border station now of Frankfurt Oder. This is not to be confused with the bigger city of Frankfurt am Main, and it's close to the Polish border. It's the last station that we'll visit before we cross over. It was all going so well, a relaxing journey across northern Poland, until we got here to Świebodzin station, and we've just had an announcement to say that the train is delayed because of an accident further along the tracks. As a result of this, the train's going to be doing a different route, and the delay could be up to 180 minutes, 3 hours. So after a delay of about 45 minutes, we're finally on the move, in the direction from where we've just come. Yep, they put the engine on the other end of the train, and now we're going an alternative route. This is the delay that could be up to 3 hours. Nice. This never happens to Michael Portillo.
Szanowni Państwo, następna stacja Rzepin.
Now that sound you can hear is the dripping rain. It's not supposed to be on the inside of the carriage, I don't think, but it is. This gets better and better. And then it got worse. We were on the move for a bit, but then we were told we would have to change trains to get into Poznan. And then we were told we'd have to get a bus from a place called Poledzie, which is just outside Poznan. So here we are at Poledzie station. It's just around 10 o'clock at night, and I've decided to bite the bullet. I'm not going to make it to Warsaw this evening. I've got a cab and I'm on my way into Poznan, where I've just booked a hotel online. It really is going to be for the best, because it means I can get a decent night's sleep and get an early start tomorrow and maybe, hopefully, make it to Warsaw. You're listening to Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there. For more hints and information of where to go and what to do when you get here, head to travelcaster.blog. And please subscribe to this podcast on whichever platform you're listening. Welcome to Poznan, the station of endless announcements, none of which I actually understand because they're all in Polish. Well, they would be. We're in Poland. So, last night was a little bit of a nightmare. After the shenanigans of trying to get to Warsaw, we ended up on the outskirts of Poznan, about 12 kilometres from the city centre itself, and ended up having to get a taxi and a hotel for the night. The hotel itself was really comfortable, actually, so that was something. But today, we push onwards, a day late, trying to get to Warsaw, and hopefully we're going to be there by lunchtime. Although getting a reservation on this train did not prove easy. I had to go to the ticket office. Nobody spoke English. I typed everything I could into my translation app, and they looked as if I was from a different planet. About 15 minutes later, they eventually produced a reservation which cost all of 1 zloty. That's about 39p. But hey, we're on the move. Nearly. Well, we have finally arrived in Warsaw, and when you come out of the central station, the first thing that you'll notice is that it's a city of new and new. By that, I mean the sort of concrete communist blocks that you may associate with Eastern Europe from the 1960s. That brutalist architecture is all around. It doesn't look particularly pleasant. And then the newer buildings around it, glass towers and modern apartment and office blocks are springing up all around. And yet, it's the oldest looking buildings that are among the newest, because of course Warsaw suffered heavily during the Second World War, and many of the places that you see in terms of historic buildings, quote marks, are indeed reconstructions. Take the building that I'm standing behind here, the Krasinski Palace. Built in the 15th and 16th centuries, it was destroyed during World War II and then rebuilt back to its former glory. It really does look stunning. It's on one of the main roads, about 10 or 15 minutes by tram from the central station. And behind it here, this tranquil park. Now, we're recording this in March, but it's a warm day and plenty of people are enjoying the sunshine. And I imagine that in the middle of the summer, this place will be teeming with people out to have a picnic, entertaining themselves, bringing the kids out. It's a useful green space in an otherwise very busy and crowded city. Now, if you're looking at the Krasinski Palace, you must look opposite as well to something that you can't miss. It is the monument to the Warsaw Uprising, the event that brought the city together towards the end of the Second World War, and an event that led to much of the city's destruction as well. Now, the significance of the uprising can't be understated because, well, it was downplayed at the time by the communist regime because it was organised by the Polish resistance, people who wanted independence. And so this monument wasn't built until 1989. At its heart are a set of sculptures of people almost rising up from the street in an act of defiance. And all around there are metallic columns standing tens of feet high, each depicting names and stories of those involved. It's a must-see sight if you're in Warsaw. Now there are trams and buses in Warsaw, but there's also the metro, and if you download the local app onto your phone, you can buy a ticket for 15 zloty. That'll cover you for 24 hours. That's about £3 Great British pounds. It's fairly good value. The only thing is, if you are downloading the app, do read up of how to validate your ticket. Without validating it, you won't be allowed on board, particularly with the metro, where you have to scan a QR code from the app at the gates to get into the station. So if the Kaczynski Palace is all about opulence, then the place I'm standing in now is all about access for the people. This is the Palace of Culture and Science, a collection of buildings just by the station that rise up like something out of 1930s New York. It's Art Deco, it's big towers, and on the 30th floor, you can go out and see the city from above. Panoramic views all around, although be warned, it gets a bit windy up here at times. Here's another fun fact. The composer Frédéric Chopin was born 6 miles from Warsaw. That must be why there are so many Chopin mouths around here. See what I did there? All that sightseeing makes you very thirsty. So this evening I've come to what is described as Europe's newest old town. That is, of course, because the old town was destroyed during the Second World War. But it has been beautifully reconstructed. I'm here in the Rheinak, that's the marketplace of the old town. This time of the year in March it's fairly quiet, but the restaurants and the bars are open, and I've seen 1 or 2 interesting looking hostelries that I'm about to check out. The bar of choice tonight has been Same Crafty. At least that's how it's spelt. It's probably not how it's pronounced, but as the name suggests, they do craft beer. And you can spot it because on the outside there are actually 6 beer taps advertising what they've got on inside. Now I've got to say, the old town in Warsaw is not like many of the others I've seen in Eastern Europe. It's a lot quieter. Maybe it's something to do with the time of year. But there are no party bars here. There's no pressure. It's a really chilled out vibe. And on these narrow back streets, dimly lit, you can find something of your choosing, be it a bar, a restaurant, or even a Chopin piano concert. It's all going on here. What a lovely evening it's been. And my conclusion is, even if you've only got a few hours, you can see a heck of a lot of Warsaw. It may be the capital city, but it's relatively easy to get around thanks to its public transport network. Just put in your search terms to the map and it'll direct you to the right route. Getting from the central area to the old town is very easy, and once you're there, it's very walkable as well. All in all, Warsaw has been a city of eye-opening surprises. I've really enjoyed my short time there, but it's time to go now because our journey moves on. So that'll do it from this edition of Travelcaster. Don't forget, you can keep up to date with all of the information that you've heard in this episode at travelcaster.blog. Just search for the Baltics and Scandinavia trip and it's all there for you. And join us again soon for another edition of Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there.